November 24th, 1971. A quiet man in a black suit boarded a plane with a one-way ticket. He ordered a drink, lit a cigarette, and handed a flight attendant a note. She thought it was his phone number. She smiled and slipped it into her purse. But the man leaned closer and whispered, "Miss, you'd better read that note. I have a bomb." What happened over the next few hours became one of the boldest crimes in American history. He demanded $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes. Then he jumped out of a Boeing 727 into a freezing storm at 10,000 feet. He was never seen again. Did he survive, or did the wilderness swallow him forever? This is the mystery of D.B. Cooper. Welcome to Mystery Vault.
If you're new here, this channel covers real unsolved mysteries, cases that still don't have answers. If that's your thing, subscribe, because this one has stayed unsolved for over 50 years. It was Thanksgiving Eve. Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305 was preparing to leave Portland, Oregon, for Seattle, Washington. Among the passengers sat an ordinary-looking man, mid-40s, dark sunglasses, a black business suit, a calm, unremarkable expression. Nothing about him stood out. His ticket had been purchased under the name Dan Cooper. After takeoff, he quietly ordered a bourbon and soda, lit a cigarette, and waited. Then he handed a folded note to flight attendant Florence Schaffner. At first, she ignored it. It was assuming it was just another passenger trying to flirt. But Cooper leaned toward her and said quietly, "Miss, you'd better read the note." Her heart raced as she unfolded it. The message contained only a few words. "I have a bomb." Florence sat beside him, doing her best to stay calm. Cooper opened his briefcase just enough for her to glimpse what looked like wires and red cylinders. Whether it was a real bomb has never been confirmed, but in that moment, it was convincing enough. He didn't shout, he didn't threaten anyone. He spoke quietly, almost politely, as he laid out his demands. $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck waiting on the ground in Seattle. The pilots radioed air traffic control. The FBI was contacted within minutes. To protect the passengers, authorities made a difficult decision. They would cooperate. While the aircraft circled in the sky to buy time, law enforcement scrambled to gather the ransom money and parachutes. Most passengers had no idea a hijacking was even happening. When the plane finally landed in Seattle, Cooper allowed all of them, along with most of the crew, to leave safely. Only the pilots, a flight engineer, and 1 flight attendant remained on board. Then Cooper gave his next instruction. "We're taking off again." With the ransom and parachutes delivered, the Boeing 727 took off again, this time into a violent storm, heading toward Reno, Nevada, at Cooper's request. Cooper instructed the remaining crew to stay in the cockpit, lower the rear staircase of the plane, and depressurize the cabin. Then, somewhere over the dense forests of southwest Washington, in freezing rain and near zero visibility, Cooper strapped on a parachute, stepped onto the rear staircase, and jumped. He was never seen again. The crew felt the aircraft shift slightly as he exited, the only physical evidence that he'd actually gone through with it. When the plane landed, investigators found Cooper had left behind his black tie and 8 of the parachute's ripcords still packed, along with, most strangely, 2 of the 4 parachutes he'd requested, completely untouched. He had jumped into a storm at night over mountainous wilderness. What followed became the longest and most extensive manhunt in FBI history, codenamed Norjack. Search teams combed thousands of acres of forest. Military helicopters scanned the region. Divers searched nearby rivers and lakes. They found nothing. No body, no parachute, no definitive trace of the man who called himself Dan Cooper. A media reporting error during the case turned his alias into D.B. Cooper, and the name stuck in public memory ever since. Then, in 1980, 8 years later, a young boy digging in the sand along the Columbia River found something extraordinary. Several bundles of decaying cash, still identifiable by their serial numbers. They matched the ransom money given to Cooper. It was the first, and to this day the only, physical evidence of the money ever found. But it raised more questions than it answered. Had Cooper died in the river, with the cash slowly washing downstream over the years? Or had someone else
discarded it long after the jump? For over 50 years, theories have filled the silence where evidence should be. Theory 1. Cooper died in the jump. Given the storm, the freezing temperatures, and his inappropriate clothing, many investigators believe he simply didn't survive the landing, and his remains were never found in the dense wilderness. Theory 2. He was a former paratrooper or Air Force veteran. His technical knowledge of the aircraft and his calm precision throughout the hijacking led some investigators to believe he had military parachuting experience. Theory 3. He survived and disappeared. Some believe Cooper planned meticulously, knew the terrain, and vanished into a new identity, living out the rest of his life undetected. The FBI officially suspended active investigation into the case in 2016, calling it one of their most exhaustively investigated, yet unsolved mysteries. And here's the detail that keeps this case alive to this day. Out of hundreds of suspects investigated over 5 decades, not one has ever been definitively confirmed as the real D.B. Cooper. No body, no parachute, no confession, no conclusive proof of life.
A man walked onto a plane, calmly hijacked it, jumped into a storm, and simply ceased to exist in any record we've ever found. So what do you think really happened to D.B. Cooper? Did he survive? Or did the wilderness keep his secret forever? Let me know your theory in the comments. Subscribe to Mystery Vault for more unsolved cases. Next week's story might be even stranger.